when you start to look deeply in that mirror and start to identify what you don't like about yourself, that is your power. That is your superpower. What makes you different makes you special. You are different for a reason, and you're special for a reason. You have to tap into that. Any insecurity or any flaw, turn that pain into your power. Turn that power into your purpose. It's just one of those things that society will tell you to fix yourself, and you don't need to go in that direction. The only thing you need to fix is how you see yourself. And that monster that I seen every single day, I knew he wasn't real. I chased him away by 3 simple things. With kindness, love, and bravery. You have to understand who you are as an individual before the world tell you who you are. I was fortunate enough to have such a dope mother who instilled into me that I was not different. Society tried to tell me I was different. So we stopped that at the early beginning, where I knew who I was before the world. I think now the role of society, the standard, you have to be a certain height. You have to have a certain hair color. You have to have a certain skin complexion. None of that stuff really matters. Like, these standards don't really matter. If you wait for society to tell you who you are, you're always going to lose in life. And that's just my perspective, just from real experience.
Tremendous. So I like when you mentioned that, just focus on one thing while you're growing. And then when you got into a point, then you branch out.
Right.
And my question would be, like, at what points would you recommend that it's ideal to branch out? Because we know, I'm sorry to cut you off. We know there's a lot of things happening in the world, and you could be doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then you also have like a full-time job on the side. Now, let's say the person that we want to like help in this situation has a full-time job on the side, but then they're doing one thing that they're focusing on. At what point would you say, okay, it's safe to branch out, even though it's still not safe? Because that's something that we should even talk about. To what keeps most people in the 9 to 5, it's the illusion of safety. A lot of them will be like, you know what, I'd rather stay with something that gives me my paycheck to paycheck than to branch out into the unknown and not know if my paycheck is coming into my. But at what point would you recommend that? I think it's safe for you to now say, you know what, take the leap and just take the journey into the unknown and just become an entrepreneur.
A lot of the times, if you do have a 9 to 5, you got to ask yourself these questions. It's okay to play it safe, especially it depends if you have a family, because now you got to think about health care. You got to think about a lot of these different things when you take that leap. But then again, that idea and that dream you have, make sure you have a plan attached to that too, because it's cool to have an idea and a dream, but if you don't have no plan, you're just kind of just going with the flow, and it might look all good, but you got to ask, like, what is my end goal? Like, is this gonna be a safety net like my 9 to 5, or should I keep my 9 to 5 and see how can I cut my hours and just focus more on my dream and everything else? And I have a plan. Make sure that's afloat. Then you gotta ask yourself: is this a personal brand, or this is something you're trying to open up as a brick and mortar, or just a phase you're just going through because you hate your job? Because a lot of times people get in a job and they love it, they get the degree, and then eventually they get burned out, or they get influenced because everybody else saying, hey, I don't like my job no more, I'm going to go try this entrepreneur route, because it's thrown around loosely now because of media. You never know when you're going to take that leap. You just take it. You just take it, man. But nowadays, I think that there's a lot of awareness around before people take the leap. They make sure they save enough money to make sure they have a portfolio, a Roth IRA, all these different things that's set up, because all the information is there now. It's right in front of your face. So a lot of people are doing their research before they actually take that leap. And there's some people just locked into that 9 to 5. They're like, yo, I'm going to stay here for another 36 months. I'm going to stack some bread, stay down, and I'm going to take that leap for my business. And and that way they have a cushion, they have a safety net if anything ever happens, for the average entrepreneur who don't do their research, who don't know, and they just go with that feeling. They just take that leap and just figure out, figure out things on the way. And that's a rare individual who figure out things on the fly, because you got to get off the ground just being aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like one of those things, if you don't have that in you, then you just don't have that in you. Yeah. It's like, all right, then just play that 9 to 5 and build that business on the side and just sacrifice. Sometimes it's just all about sacrificing. And say if it's even worth my time to even build this business and doing my 9 to 5. A lot of times, it's sometimes things is not just meant to be, and that's okay. You don't have to beat yourself about it. I think a lot of people feel like they have to be important. They always have to be famous, or they have to own a business. They have to do something. You'll know when that, if you're that type of person, because it's a calling. It's a calling. It's a calling, man. It's a calling. If that's the case, everybody be out here be entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a calling. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's a calling, man. It's just a calling. You will feel that feeling when you're ready to take that leap. But I definitely you should ask yourself all these questions before taking that leap too.
Yeah. It got me thinking, like, back in the days, I'd say maybe in the 80s or 70s, if we go as far back as 70s, people used to go get a 9 to 5 job, and they get the 9 to 5 job as a form of what they will do for life. Like, once you get a job, it doesn't matter what the job is. You could be a receptionist, you could be a cleaner, you could be anything. Once you get that job, in your mind, you're not getting this job so I could change it in 2 years or 10 years or 5 years. You're like, this is the job. So that's why people used to be very happy when they get a job, like, oh, I have a job.
Right.
But due to inflation, unemployment rate going up, and so many things, capitalism, I think the world has changed, and that's why a lot of people are like almost pursuing entrepreneurship and whatever. But do you think there's something that has changed in the world?
Sure, it's a shift
the
in the
way-
world. This is not 40, 30 years ago. It's an easy way of making money. Streaming, podcasting,
Mhm.
just side hustle, babysitting, cutting hair, Uber. Come on, man. Like, there's a
So
stream.
many
There's
things.
so many different things than back in the days where you have jobs was limited. So when you did get a job, you was happy that you had got a job, and you performed really well there.
Yeah.
Like, you don't hear nobody saying I'm retired. Like, nowadays, you don't hear nobody saying I'm getting into a job and I'm retired in 36 years. No.
No.
People are trying to retire at 20, 26. They don't even have an age gap. People ain't even talking about retiring. People are trying to generate enough wealth for generational wealth, or they trying to create financial freedom.
Mhm.
And the success is different these days.
Yeah.
Some people, the new success is being at peace. People are like, I'm not gonna go punch a clock to be told what to do and not be treated right. If I could just, work home and work remote and work online and do something and make ends meet and just live under my means. Because living on your means nobody talks about living under your means. Like, just really living on your means and being disciplined, because a lot of times the more money you make, you spend more, right?
Mhm.
But then again, if you live under your means, that's the way to accumulate wealth really quickly.
That's the best
And
thing.
people don't
If your
understand that.
income is going up,
Right,
and you keep
right.
living under your means.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of people don't. We live in America, so a lot of it's consuming. But that old way of like staying at a job for 36 years is over, bro. There's too many avenues now to make money. Period. It's trading cards, NFTs, Bitcoin.
That's
People's
interesting.
learning. The stock market now, right? People are learning how to make money quick now. This information wasn't here 10, 20 years ago. This information now, the research. Like, if you were someone if you told me, hey man, I only got $100 to my name, and I got this really cool idea, the first thing I would tell them, hey, invest in ChatGPT, $20 a month, open up a high yield savings account, put maybe the $40 in there, start growing compound interest on that. The rest, start doing research and start looking at the things that you want to do on podcasts and YouTube and everything else, and maybe get one more subscription, maybe a McLeod or a Gemini or whatever, to really try to hone in on your craft. And then you can kind of accumulate. There's really no excuses. You got to actually really want it to win now. But at the end of the day, there's really no excuses. It takes a little amount of money just to research now.
Yeah.
And then unlock some of these apps that can change your life and use it as a tool.
This online thing is really crazy. Like you said, it's almost like there's no excuse. Like, you can just do it. Like, some people, I've seen people, I wouldn't say maybe by accidents, but I've seen people set up things like you just mentioned, Gemini, Cloud, whatever, and create like profile, and they're making like $10 million.
We're not even showing their face.
Without even showing their faces. Yeah. And it's almost like accidental millionaire, something like that. There's really no excuse.
I mean, this is the thing, man. There's really no excuses. This is why the people who are hungry and who really want it in life, and that's the thing. I don't even listen to people who complain anymore, talking about I'm not financial free. I don't have no money. Why? Well, it's easy to make money these days, so it's like one of those things is there's really no excuse. The research is there. Even if you didn't have a dime to you can go to the public library. It's free. It's to help people. Do your research there. Go get a skill. Go get a trade. Become a mechanic. Go do something. Cut hair. Be a licensed barber. Beautician. Like whatever. Like there's ways of making money.
There's so many things as long as you're willing
It's
to
different
work.
these days. So to go back to your question, this is not the 70s or the 80s where you had to lock in on a career job now for 20, 30 years to get a pension and get some retirement money. People are retiring as we speak.
Back then, the
It was
money,
different.
like back then, you could be a janitor and still have enough money to buy a mortgage and take care of a
Everything was a
family
lot
of
cheaper
5
back
people.
then. Houses going for like 30, 40,000. But then again, depending who you are, right? Now, there was a disadvantage too when it comes to mortgage, when it comes to who we lend the money to, right? So when I hear older folks who don't look like us, or don't come from, we come from, I bought my house in the 70s. I paid 40 grand for this. That house is appraised right now for like 1.4, right? So it's like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? And then when I look at my people, I'm like, damn. Or sometimes we wasn't even educated on what real estate looked like, or even, a lot of times we didn't make enough money, or when we did make money, we live in paycheck to paycheck, or when we had some money to save, we blow it all on materialistic things.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the thing. Live under your means, and it's a quicker way of making money these days, no matter what you're doing and who you are.
And one of the lessons I've learned is for you to survive in America, sometimes you need to have a very low appetite towards things, because they're always advertising something new to you. Every cell phone is coming with a new version. Every car is coming with a new version. They're always releasing a newer version of everything, like every 24 hours.
You always need to upgrade.
Yeah, so you might as well just say, once I have this, I'm going to use this for the next 10 years.
Right.
And have zero appetite towards any of those upgrades.
It takes discipline, though, to have that zero appetite, man. Because you do when you come to America, you live in a country where it's just consumed. It's just like one of those things like it's just when I think about people make poor choices on the nutrition, right? When it comes to lifestyle, if you go into the city, there's a bodega everywhere, there's a food truck everywhere. It's just the amount of temptation. The amount of discipline that takes. It's any department in life, relationship, finance, or lifestyle. Taking care of yourself, habits, behavior. Like you said, having a low appetite, you know what I'm saying? Because everything's pushed, everything's an upgrade, and everything you need, right? Because the accessibility is there, but it takes the amount of the individual and the discipline, to stay grounded and stay true to who they are, knowing that you don't need to upgrade all the time.
So what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned being an entrepreneur? And also, because you have a brand that's built around you, around your identity, what advice do you have for someone who's also building a brand that will eventually be around their identity? And also, at some point, do you separate yourself from the brand, or everything just works hand in hand together?
Everything works hand in hand together. It's beautiful because it's like I don't have no inventory. It's like no pressure. I'm my own boss. I can pick and choose who I want to work with when it comes to schools, organization, corporate events, DJing, or whatever it may be, right? And that's the beauty of having a personal brand. But then again, having a personal brand, it takes work too, building relationships. It's not about just chasing the money. That's the biggest thing that if I could, I wouldn't go back, but I learned a lot of lessons. Always asking for a paycheck when I first started, because I didn't have no mentors coming in this. I was like my own mentor and just learning.
So you learned by doing everything.
I just learned by doing, and everything I asked for was how much would your school pay me, or how much would this cost? And I realized just building a relationship with the individual leads to exposure. Now, if I'm at a teacher conference and I do one school just as this exposure, that might open up to 5 more schools. So just be mindful when you get into this in your personal brand. It's not always about the dollar sign or the paycheck. Of course, you got to eat, you got to make a living. But in the very beginning, that exposure will take you longer than any paycheck. Because the relationship's going to take you farther. Like you can do one school just a pro bono, the word they use, and one teacher can hook you up with 10 other teachers. And out of the 10 other teachers, you might be doing 7 schools the following week. That might just change your whole trajectory of your business and who you are too. And after you do those 7 schools, it's just ripple effect, So it's just these things, man, are just, even if you're not in the line of business of being an author, speaker, DJ, or whatever, maybe your line of business might be something different outside of my skill set. But the same rules apply. Like if you have a service, you can solve a problem. Make sure, build that rapport and build that trust. And I promise you, everything will change instead of just asking for a paycheck for your service every time you do something. Some things you just got to sacrifice and do it all. Just do it as a pro bono, and everything else will fall in play. People start taking a liking to you. People start seeing your work and start speaking for yourself.
So your work now does the art and the marketing for you because you keep putting up.
And for me, it's a lot different too because I'm in personal brand, right? But I didn't have to see that. I didn't have to see it that way. It's just the level of confidence and the self-reflection, right? I know this. I know my vitiligo strikes the conversation, but it's deeper than skin deep. I have the work to prove, the books, the information, the tools, my life experience. So it's a lot different. I understood my power. So I'm able to go in these spaces where most people don't even know where to start to talk about differences and visual difference and self-image and self-love and acceptance and how you see yourself is how you be yourself. A lot of people don't know where to start. I solve the problem. I'm someone who prevents the prevention. I prevent the kid from stop getting bullied. I can go in there and have the conversation where the kid might have said, you know what, I feel comfortable and better about who I am because Mr. McLeod came in and spoke to our class today. So I'm changing lives in a way, but I'm standing with them at the same time. And any line of service, if I'm DJing and I meet a parent or whatever, and they might like, I love your vibe and your energy, blah, blah, blah. But it's just a line of work, man. That's just, they might say, hey, we having a baby. We might want you to do our baby shower in the next year. So it's how you treat people too, and being likable, being approachable. They might say, hey, we got a cousin getting married. The first person they're going to think of is you. Even though you might not get the opportunity, but the room that you expose yourself to, just for being who you are and staying true to who you are and promoting your business and actually saying you do the work and you actually have the service, you never know who you'll come across, and I'd rather have the idea that they're always going to remember me for 2 years or a year later down the line than actually just chasing the money right away,
So you do a lot of things: speaker, author, coach, DJ. Of all the things that you do, which one is your favorite?
I think I'd be biased if I pick a favorite because last one is my favorite. It leads back to one thing: impact, changing lives, transformation. If I'm speaking, and I spoke over hundreds of times, and if I'm in a room, I'm always gonna move someone. I'm always gonna shift someone's perspective on how they see how they see themselves for the rest of their life. I'm not here to do a one-off when I go into these places. I'm here to help someone to see themselves for the rest of their life. And if I'm DJing, there might be someone who might have had a bad week, but the weekend they want to celebrate. But when I get on set, they see someone who's just smiling ear to ear. I might be a lot different from the crowd, but damn, they like, man, he just brightened my day for some reason. It's impact. If I'm running my foundation and we giving out donations and books and giving back every quarterly, right? 2 to 3 schools, that's impact. My job is my purpose, man. My job is a lot different than most people live their life, My job is a lot different than most people live their life. So everything I choose to do, I love what I do every single day. So there's really no in between or no favorites. There's no on and off switch. It's these things that I get to show up to help people with their transformation, no matter what job title I have for the day or what hat I'm wearing for the day. It's just one of those things. I'm dealing with people, the interaction. I told you I get high off humanity, man. The connections,
Sure.
So
let's talk about your life as a DJ. Okay, when you're DJing, I believe there's something that music does to you. I believe you have to do like music selections and different things like that. Now, my question is there something that music gives you that speaking doesn't give you? And also, how do you approach music? Do you approach DJing as a form of storytelling when you go into DJ in a place?
Well, speaking is a little different because I usually ask the event holder, the organization, whoever I'm speaking for, what is the talking point, right? When I have to do a keynote or just public speaking. When it comes to the schools, it's simple. It's just whatever, bullying, self-love, identity, inclusion. DJing, it becomes, I play open format, so I play all genres of music. It could be rock, new wave, which is like classic 80s, hip hop, R&B, Afrobeat, reggaeton, dembow, calypso, soca. It could be a variety of music. I have the ability just to read the room. I take people on a musical journey. Music is universal. I usually tell people, hey, it's just music, let's just have fun. You know? And that's the thing. So when I'm curating a playlist, it's usually like I just read the room. I have music already in my laptop, and it's already structured to different genres. And of course, I practice during the weeks before these gigs and stuff like that. I usually ask the promoter or the event holder, what's the demographic, blah, blah, blah. If it's a wedding, it depends. If it's a birthday party, what's the musical journey you guys want me to take you on? But 9 out of 10, they don't usually have to ask me. I just read the room because I've been doing it for so long. And I'm taking people on this musical journey. So I'm playing a little bit of every genre, all walks of life, because the rooms it looks a lot different, than the speaking sometimes. The speaking, I'm staying on a talking point. The DJing just on a musical journey because it's so universal. So it's two different things. But like I said, it leads back to one thing: impact, changing life, making people feel good about who they are, expressing themselves, giving them a moment, that they probably haven't felt in a long time.
I want to talk about leadership. Like, how have you been able to evolve into becoming the leader that you are? Because as an entrepreneur, as speaking in front of an audience and doing all these things, there's a form of leadership that's in everything, and there's also a form of leadership of you where you have to lead yourself to show up to do all these things. So I want us to talk about how have you been able to emerge to become the leader that you are right now.
I think a lot of people are put in a position, or they're just born to be a leader.
Mhm.
I took action in leadership since I was younger, right? I never hid from the world. I could have hid from the world, but I was put out there from the very beginning since I was special and unique and one of a kind. So it's no brainer for me to actually doing what I love to do and taking action and being a leader and standing with the people, because I'm doing all the things that I wish I had when I was younger. I wish someone would say, hey, I have vitiligo too, or I'm different. Hey, you okay, man? You one of us, right? I never had that. So I'm giving the world the things that I wish I had. So I have no choice but to. It's just instilled into me. I'm designed to be a leader. I'm designed to take action and cultivate it at a level where when I'm like the forefront, but I'm not really the forefront. I'm standing with the people at the same time.
Yeah, that's really dope. That's very powerful. Just leadership by taking initiative and taking action.
Mm.
So when it comes to how I put this, how you lead in general, like how you lead the audience when it comes to speaking, and also when it comes to leading, like you said, you take the people, especially when you DJ, and you take them on a musical journey. Is there like a difference in how you see it in terms of leadership, how
Yeah,
you
it's a
lead the
different approach. I
audience?
mean, DJing is it's a lot easier than, because I'm behind a deck. They don't know what's coming out of the music, right?
Mm.
So that first song is always going to set the tone. Sometimes it might take 3 or 4 songs to see where the crowd is really at. So I might have to jump from genre to genre to see where I'm dealing with. But if we're speaking, right, it's just like I already know my talking point. It's either I start with humor, or I start with just a story, or I ask them a question. How many of you guys feel like you ever been alone? Or how many of you guys feel like you're different in the room, right? To kind of take them on this mental journey, because that first word or that first song that comes out is going to be everything to get people's attention if they're going to stay in tune with who you are and what you have to say.
So the energy that you bring right from the very start.
Your first introduction is going to be everything. The first song I play on a DJing floor, from the first word I speak when I get on that stage, it's going to be everything, So it's just one of those things that it gives you an idea. Is you able going to take forefront in leadership? Is your message going to stick or not? Is this song is going to drive people to the dance floor? Or people going to be like, you know what? Because the first song, oh, we are going to stay for this DJ. So usually with a song choice is usually universal, where everybody knows. With speaking, it's something a topic everybody's familiar with, or something catchy where Anyone ever felt alone in this room? Anybody ever felt different in this room, right? Or have you ever thought to yourself, man, I don't like the way, like certain things, like, to kind of open up their mind a little bit to say, wow, I got to listen to this guy. Because like I said, I have the power to strike a conversation. This guy might know what he's talking about when it becomes being different. Ain't nothing wrong with us,
Yeah, when we're talking about conversation and all this that you've talked to, what's one of the most emotional conversation you've had with someone that has the same vitiligo? Be it young or old, what's one of the most emotional conversation you've had with someone?
So I met a young lady online during COVID. I'm not gonna say her name. She developed vitiligo during COVID. Gorgeous girl. She's from Jordanian. She had like this melon, like this brown mocha complexion, like a Princess Jasmine from like Aladdin. She found me at the time. My Instagram handle was That Vitiligo Guy. So I came up in all the search engines, like people like, this must be the guy. He's That Vitiligo Guy.
Mm-hmm.
So she reached out to me, and we had conversations. And she's actually in the medical field. She works with children in Beverly Hills. And she thought I was just some guru, like I can help her change her whole perspective on how she sees herself. She always seen herself being this gorgeous girl, and vitiligo just attacks her body and start turning her skin white. So she tried everything from light therapy, from all these treatments, but she didn't know what she was having. She just started seeing these spots. But since she was in the medical field, she was a little educated, so she went to go get a biopsy. And anytime you get a biopsy with like something like vitiligo or something like that, and when you see the lack of melanin in the cells, you can see where you're losing pigment at from the biopsy. So she thought it was like cancer at first, then she realized it was vitiligo. So after speaking with this girl for like maybe a month or two, trying to help her heal, and like not being some like psychiatrist, but just having conversation, just someone in the community that she can have support, because she's way in LA. There's really no sort of community, and just being a supportive, someone that was just being supportive, that was just online, didn't know this person. So I opened up, told her about my childhood living with vitiligo from the very beginning, blah blah blah. Then she, after a while, she started saying, hey, I'm jealous of you. You had enough time to heal because you had vitiligo since you was a kid. And she was really hard on herself, because then she would, say these different things, and she was emotionally struggling. She went from seeing, and this is the thing, this is why I know a lot of people are not broken, they're just becoming. A lot of people don't. A lot of times people just operate just on the outside based off she just gave me, she just been operating on her looks almost her entire life, to this one uncertainty happened to her life where she started to develop these spots called vitiligo, and all of a sudden she wanted to go away, and she didn't know why her. And she told me, I'm lucky enough because I had it a lot early in my life, so it was easy for me to process. So I'm going back and forth with this stranger that I was trying to help, but she's really struggling with it. So I just kind of exit her out, and then it's been years, and she reached out to me again, like maybe 6 months ago, saying she's still struggling. And I'm like, a lot of people fight their own battles, man, and one of the things, a lot of people take it harder than the actual circumstance it is, right? It's like any cure to life, I realize, if it's cancer or anything, the number one cure is happiness. They tell you that all the time.
Yeah,
it cure everything, man. Meaning that it might not cure your circumstances or make things go away, but the level of,
because mindset
a
is
mindset
everything.
and regulation,
Yeah,
on your immune system is everything, man. The more you stress, the more you start to trigger your thoughts, your problem, and maybe the disease that's causing this. So like, there's some people who take it hard. There's some people, she just kept saying, hey, you lucky. Started saying things that was very inappropriate. Like, I didn't know this person for a whole while. I was just trying to be a supportive person. But there's the anger and the rage, because her whole thing was like, man, I just want to tap into you. I want what you have. And a lot of times I allow her to get emotionally attached to me. I could have cut it off a long time ago. And I didn't even say anything. I was just always listening and just trying to be supportive, And I realized, man, this is deeper than dermatologists, man, helping these individuals, because the dermatologist is only seeing patients 10 minutes at a time. Like now when we talk about when that patient leave your office and that treatment don't work or that light therapy session they paid a lot of money for don't repigment their skin, they're looking elsewhere for the answers. And that could lead to a whole lot of different things, man. Suicidal thoughts, really just doing things to harm their body, So I could tell she was kind of like pushing on the edge and not really seeing herself. And then, there's other people out there. There's, I guess, some people time to time, people are loving the fact that vitiligo is championing, but behind closed doors and privacy, they reach out to someone like myself and they say, man, I hate when people stare at me when I go to the gym or I go to work and do these different things. But publicly on social media, they're embracing it. Like they really they're in tune with who they are.
People are weird.
So it's scary, man. It's scary. So the emotional mind can become a very dangerous mind. That's what I can say and leave that on that.
And that's very powerful. Like that made me think of this question. I believe you probably have thought about it too, because you had it when you was 18 months old and you were introduced to it at 5 years old. Do you think there would have been any difference if maybe you discovered vitiligo at the age of, say, 24, 25?
That's the answer that I can't really answer, right? Because who knows where my mind would have been at these days. Then again, if I had a parent, because my mom raised us anyway to be good people, to treat the world how we want to be treated, disrespect always. I was raised well mannered. So I think that even if I turned 25, I think a level of my life would have probably been completely different too. I think that the education and information that's out here now, I think I probably would accept it a little bit more just because of my upbringing and the understanding that how my mom always instilled love into us. Even if I didn't have this condition, we was always instilling love. This is why my personality is the way it is too as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, vitiligo played a role of like, man, how I see the world differently too, because it's like, man, there's people who want to be seen and heard. So that kind of played another role. But if I was 25 years old and I just developed it, I don't know, because my life would have been completely different. There's some people I know who are happy that they got vitiligo later on in life because they were already completely married. They had their kids and everything else. So if it was vice versa in someone else's shoes, from the stories I heard, there's some people saying, man, I'm glad I got my wife or I got my husband because I developed this already when my life is already, I got what I want already, the picket fence, the husband, the kids and everything else. Mm-hmm. But it's quietly, they just struggling now because, they feel like, the husband or the significant other might be supportive, but they just said, man, I'm just so grateful that I had all this, and that the world is not based off of having a complete family. Like people it's just interesting the stories you hear. So people's like, man, I'm happy I had it before I had, your life is not complete when you have a husband and kids and everything else.
No.
What about yourself? You're just being selfish to yourself. You don't want to grow. You don't want no more out of life. Mm-hmm. It just shows me the level of where people's at mentally, But there's some conversations around that. People are just getting vitiligo later in life, and they are more grateful that they got it later in life when they have a husband and everything else. But vice versa, your husband might not even see you no more.
Yeah.
Because you're turning, that takes a lot of mentally, emotionally, doing the work. Relationships is doing the marriage, is doing the work. Mm-hmm. But then again, too, like, vitiligo, what I've been seeing too, for women, it became a fetish. So there's women who setting up OnlyFans pages now because there are people out there who likes the patterns and, just weird things. It's just the level of what I see out there is just interesting, man. So
yeah, it's really
some people are just happy they have it because now they figure out how to make an income off of it.
Yeah, that's one marketing. So we already established that vitiligo is not genetic.
No, it's hereditary 30%. So
it's hereditary.
Yeah, it's 30%. So I don't really know the real number, but the last time I looked it up, it was like 30% hereditary. Like I said, my sister had vitiligo. Okay. It's not noticeable.
How about your parents?
Huh?
Your parents didn't have.
No, nobody. No.
So it's like from the previous generation. But you can't really tell.
I never really did research on how it actually is. Is it passed through a pipeline or, I don't really know because my mom don't have it. My sister have it. It could skip generation after generation. Who knows?
Have you ever spoken to someone who has it, like a parent and infants who has it too?
No, I've been I know these 3 triplets from
Mhm.
Harlem,
Okay.
and they have vitiligo. They
So
all got
they're
it.
all the children, not the parents and children.
No, the parents don't have it. They had 2 brothers that they have it, but the 3 triplets have it. But I never really had a conversation how it was passed
How?
down, who else in the
Okay.
family have it, you know?
Okay. That's really interesting. I was just trying to establish the fact that, well, since it's not genetic and it's only 30%
I
hereditary,
think,
so
yeah, I
you
just think it's
yeah,
one of those things, man. It just these days, who know where it comes from, you know? I
yeah,
mean, it's just one of those things that it just happens. It's very unpredictable. Like I said, it
that's
affects the
interesting.
1%.
That's interesting. And that's one way for the doctors to, like, even though they know that there's no cure, they could just ask you to keep coming back so they could put money. And
It's a money maker, man. It's a money maker.
it's
It's gonna be,
crazy.
and then the thing is, there's 70 million people worldwide, right here,
Yeah.
3 to 6 million people in the United States. My question is, where are they? Like, where's the rest of the people? I don't really see too many people out there. Every once in a while, I run into a person, but like, I don't see them at airports. I don't see them at grocery stores. Every once in a while,
Mm-hmm.
you might get a sprinkle of individual, but like,
Yeah.
you think it's that many people are living with this condition? Where everyone's at, you know?
Yeah. All right. I believe this is a very good place to end the podcast. But before we end it, what's the word that I want you to just think about the person that's watching this right now and think about it as you are telling them something that you believe will transform their life? What would the word be that you believe can help them transform their life? Maybe they're in a place right now where the confidence is low. They're in a place where they're struggling with acceptance. They're in a place where they don't even know where to turn to. What would your word be to that person?
My word would be to them, you must accept yourself before you let the world accept you. And what I mean by that, a lot of times, the world will place these labels on you, and if you allow them, they would get the first acceptance on you. So what I mean is a lot of power in that when you think about it. So why I say you must accept yourself before the world accepts you, because once the world get a hold of who you are, it's going to be a battle fighting getting out of that. I'm just a firm believer in just accepting yourself before the world accepts you. That's just period. Accept yourself before the world accepts you.
And
It's just, yeah, accept yourself before the world accepts you, man.
that's a very powerful thing, because if you don't accept yourself, I think you mentioned something like this during the show, that if you don't accept yourself and label yourself what you believe you are,
Yep.
the world will place its own label on you, and now it becomes a struggle. So
Right.
you have to accept yourself
And my
before
thing
the
is,
world
I
accepts you.
try not to, and I can give something different, but my thing is, I want to give the world something that they familiar with. A word to call it acceptance, self-acceptance, right? I think that a lot of the time, we try to overcomplicate things with different things that we're not familiar with. You got to start getting familiar with the things that you are running from every single day, which is acceptance, which are how you see yourself, embracing yourself, right? So I think you must accept yourself before you allow the world to accept you, because at the end of the day, like, if you're running in the world not knowing who you are, acceptance is going to come before all that. So if you have this self-acceptance within yourself and knowing who you are, it's going to be easier to navigate the world and what they are trying to tell you who you are.